If the tingling in your feet intensifies at night, if numbness quietly spreads through your hands, or if burning sensations appear when your body should be recovering, these may not be harmless annoyances. What makes them dangerous is how often they are ignored, because when the underlying trigger continues, unchecked, nerve damage does not simply cause discomfort, it can quietly progress toward loss of balance, chronic pain, reduced mobility, and a level of damage that medicine can no longer undo. For many people, these nerve symptoms are brushed off as a normal part of aging genetics, or something they are simply expected to live with. Yet after years of closely observing how women over 50 experience subtle changes in nerve health, metabolism, and daily function, and I've seen how misleading and even dangerous that explanation can be. And my name is Dr. Eliza Hart, and what concerns me most is not just the discomfort itself, but how often the true driver behind nerve decline is overlooked until meaningful damage has already taken hold. If this topic resonates with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment sharing the country you're watching from, because it helps me see how this conversation about women's health is reaching far beyond one place or culture. And please stay with me until the very end, because I have a small but important insight to share that may completely change how you think about these symptoms. To understand why this matters so much, we first need to look at how nerve damage actually begins long before it ever feels severe. For many women, nerve symptoms feel as if they appear out of nowhere one day, arriving quietly as a mild tingling, and another day demanding attention through numbness, burning, or sharp discomfort that disrupts rest and confidence. This suddenness, however, is one of the greatest misunderstandings surrounding neuropathy, because nerve damage almost never begins at the moment symptoms become noticeable. In reality, what you feel today is often the result of biological stressors that have been acting repeatedly and silently for years, long before pain ever had a name, a pattern, or a medical label, and long before the nervous system had any reason to signal distress clearly. Nerves are living tissue, not static wiring, and they depend on a steady supply of oxygen, nutrients, and internal balance to function properly. Unlike skin or muscle, nerves regenerate very slowly, which means that even small, repeated disruptions can accumulate over time without sending clear warning signals. During this early phase, the body often compensates so effectively that normal sensation seems preserved, allowing subtle damage to continue unnoticed while daily life appears unchanged. By the time tingling or numbness becomes frequent enough to register consciously, the nervous system has often already been under prolonged metabolic and circulatory strain that quietly weakens its ability to recover. This is why so many women are told that their symptoms are simply a natural part of aging genetics, or bad luck explanations that feel unsatisfying yet are rarely questioned. The truth is that aging alone does not suddenly injure nerves, but it does reduce their resilience, making them less able to recover from ongoing stress. As years pass, the margin for error narrows, and processes that once caused no obvious harm begin to leave lasting marks on nerve tissue, especially when multiple low-grade stressors overlap and reinforce one another over time. What makes this especially concerning is that early nerve changes are quiet, subtle, and easily dismissed, which delays the moment when meaningful action could still protect function. Tingling that fades, numbness that comes and goes, or discomfort that seems worse only at night are not random inconveniences, but signs that the nervous system has been adapting under pressure for far longer than most people realize, often without ever triggering a sense of urgency or clinical alarm. And this leads to a critical question that changes how neuropathy should be understood altogether. Because if nerve damage does not begin suddenly, then something persistent must be driving it in the background. To understand what that ongoing pressure truly is, we need to look closely at the most overlooked factor quietly stressing nerves every single day. When people hear the word poison, they often imagine something extreme or rare, yet the most damaging poison affecting nerve health today is neither dramatic nor unfamiliar. It is something many people encounter every single day, often without concern, because it has been normalized as part of modern eating habits. The worst poison quietly destroying your nerves is chronic blood sugar spikes, and it is essential to say this clearly because everything that follows only makes sense once this is understood. What makes this so dangerous is that nerve damage does not require diabetes to begin. You do not need a diagnosis, abnormal lab results, or obvious warning signs. Repeated blood sugar spikes alone are enough. Each time blood sugar rises sharply, excess glucose interacts with delicate nerve fibers and the tiny blood vessels that supply them, triggering inflammation, oxidative stress, and gradual injury to the protective structure that allows nerves to transmit signals smoothly. One spike may seem harmless, but repeated spikes create a pattern of stress that nerves cannot fully recover from. I've seen this repeatedly in women who are genuinely confused by their symptoms. One woman in her late 60s told me she had avoided sweets for years and believed she was eating well, yet she struggled with burning feet at night and numbness that slowly crept into her toes. What she didn't realize was that her daily routine included multiple hidden blood sugar surges, none of which felt dramatic in the moment, but together they were quietly starving her nerves of oxygen and stability. This is how blood sugar toxicity works. It does not cause pain immediately, and it does not announce itself with clear alarms. Instead, it quietly damages circulation at the microscopic level, reducing oxygen delivery to nerve tissue and weakening the nerve's ability to repair itself. Over time, communication within the nervous system becomes less precise, and sensations that once felt normal begin to blur, fade, or burn. Research has made this pattern increasingly difficult to ignore, showing that people labeled as pre-diabetic experience nerve damage at rates alarmingly close to those with full diabetes. Yet most are told their blood sugar is not that bad, leaving nerves exposed to ongoing injury while symptoms continue to progress. This is why neuropathy so often feels unfair, confusing, and unexplained. What makes blood sugar spikes especially destructive is that they do not act alone. They amplify the effects of aging hormonal shifts, inflammation, and nutrient deficiencies, accelerating nerve damage far faster than any single factor on its own. And this is where timing becomes critical, because after midlife, the body's ability to buffer these spikes begins to change in ways many women are never warned about. Many women describe the same unsettling experience as they move through their 50s and 60s. Symptoms that once felt mild or manageable suddenly seem to intensify, as if their body has crossed an invisible line. Tingling becomes more frequent, numbness lasts longer, and burning sensations that once came and went begin to linger. This change often feels abrupt and personal, leaving women wondering what they did wrong even when their routines, diet, and daily habits haven't changed in any obvious or dramatic way. What's happening beneath the surface is not a sudden failure, but a gradual shift in how the body responds to stress after midlife. As estrogen levels decline, the systems that once helped regulate blood sugar, protect circulation, and support nerve repair begin to lose efficiency. Cells become less responsive to insulin. Blood sugar remains elevated for longer periods, and the tiny blood vessels that nourish nerve tissue deliver oxygen less reliably than they once did. These changes may seem subtle on their own, but together, they reduce the nervous system's ability to recover from repeated everyday strain. This is why the same blood sugar spikes that may have caused little noticeable harm earlier in life begin to have a much stronger impact after 50. Nerves that once repaired microscopic injury overnight now struggle to keep up, allowing small insults to accumulate instead of resolve. Over time, this creates the impression that nerve damage is speeding up, when in reality, the body's protective buffers are slowly thinning, leaving nerves more exposed with each passing year. Circulation also plays a quiet but critical role. With age, blood flow to peripheral areas such as the feet and hands naturally declines, limiting the delivery of nutrients and oxygen nerves depend on to stay healthy. When reduced circulation is paired with frequent blood sugar spikes, nerves are placed under constant pressure from both sides, receiving less support while enduring more damage, often without clear warning signs, until symptoms become harder to ignore. If you're listening to this and thinking, "This feels uncomfortably familiar," take a moment to engage with me here. Comment 1. If you've noticed your nerve symptoms worsen after 50 despite trying to be careful, or comment 0 if this is something you're just beginning to recognize. Your response helps me understand how many women are quietly experiencing this shift. After 50, nerve health becomes far more sensitive to daily habits, not because the body is failing, but because it can no longer absorb repeated stress without consequence. To understand why symptoms continue to progress, we now need to look closely at the everyday behaviors that quietly trigger these blood sugar spikes in the first place. What makes this stage so deceptive is that the stress placed on nerves rarely comes from what feels extreme or careless, but from routines that seem ordinary, even responsible. Many women don't recognize these patterns as harmful because they've been repeated for years without obvious consequences, until the body's tolerance quietly changes and symptoms begin to surface, often long after the habits themselves feel normal and unquestionable. One of the most common contributors is liquid sugar, not just from sweetened drinks, but from fruit juice smoothies and flavored coffees that are often labeled as healthy or gentle. Without fiber to slow absorption, sugar enters the bloodstream rapidly, creating sharp spikes that nerves are especially sensitive to. These spikes may last only a short time, but when they occur daily, they leave behind cumulative stress that nerves cannot fully recover from, gradually increasing inflammation and metabolic strain. Another overlooked habit is eating refined carbohydrates on their own, particularly bread, cereal, crackers, rice, or pasta consumed without protein or fat. These foods break down quickly into glucose, flooding the bloodstream and forcing the body to manage a surge it was not designed to handle repeatedly. Many women adopt these foods because they feel easy to digest, yet ease often means speed, and speed is precisely what drives blood sugar instability and prolonged exposure at the nerve level. Constant snacking plays a similar role. When the body is exposed to glucose throughout the day without meaningful breaks, insulin remains elevated, and nerves never experience a period of true metabolic calm. This ongoing exposure keeps inflammation active and interferes with repair processes that normally occur during rest, especially overnight. Over time, nerves become less resilient, reacting more strongly to the same triggers that once passed unnoticed. Even habits that seem unrelated to food can contribute. Skipping meals, eating late at night, or relying on quick energy fixes during stressful days can all amplify blood sugar swings, especially after midlife. These patterns don't feel dramatic in isolation, but together they form a rhythm that quietly keeps nerves under pressure. This is why neuropathy so often progresses despite good intentions. The issue is not a single indulgence, but the repetition of small, familiar behaviors that steadily push blood sugar out of balance. And as this pattern continues, it begins to expose another vulnerability that many women are never warned about, because blood sugar spikes don't just damage nerves directly, they also interfere with the nutrients nerves rely on to protect themselves. As blood sugar spikes continue to strain nerves day after day, another problem quietly develops alongside them, one that many women are never told to look for. Even when blood sugar is the main driver of damaged nerves, still depend on specific nutrients to protect their structure. And among these, vitamin B12 plays a role that is often underestimated or missed entirely, especially during the years after midlife, when absorption naturally becomes less efficient. Vitamin B12 is essential for maintaining the protective coating around nerves known as myelin. This coating allows electrical signals to travel smoothly and accurately along nerve pathways. When B12 levels fall too low, nerves become exposed and fragile, misfiring more easily and responding to stress with greater intensity. What makes this especially concerning is that B12 deficiency does not always cause obvious early symptoms, and standard blood tests may not immediately raise alarms, allowing damage to progress quietly. I've spoken with many women who were told their numbness or burning was simply part of aging, only to later discover that their B12 levels had been declining for years. In several cases, diet was not the primary issue. Instead, long-term use of common medications, including acid-blocking drugs, certain diabetes treatments, and cholesterol-lowering medications, had gradually interfered with B12 absorption. The damage did not reverse overnight when the deficiency was addressed, but the progression slowed, and in many cases, symptoms stabilized enough to restore confidence and daily function. This is where blood sugar spikes and nutrient depletion begin to intersect in a dangerous way. Chronic blood sugar stress increases inflammation and oxidative damage in nerve tissue, while low B12 removes one of the nerve's key protective defenses. Together, they accelerate deterioration far more quickly than either factor alone, leaving nerves less resilient and far more sensitive to everyday stress. What makes this factor so easy to overlook is that many women believe they are already doing everything right. They eat carefully, avoid obvious sugar, and follow medical advice closely. Yet no one has explained how medication use absorption changes after midlife or long-term metabolic stress can quietly drain a nutrient their nerves desperately need. And this combination is critical to understand because when blood sugar spikes continue and protective nutrients fall below a certain threshold, nerve damage can cross from slow and manageable into something far more difficult to control. That moment is subtle, but once it happens, the nervous system behaves very differently, which brings us to the point where neuropathy reaches a true tipping point. This tipping point rarely arrives with a clear announcement. For most women, it feels less like a dramatic event and more like a quiet shift, a moment when symptoms stop fluctuating and begin to settle in. Tingling no longer fades completely, numbness spreads beyond a few toes or fingers, and burning sensations become more persistent, especially at night. What has changed is not just how nerves feel, but how they behave. Up to this stage, nerve tissue has been compensating. Even under repeated blood sugar stress and declining nutrient protection, nerves attempt to adapt, rerouting signals and relying on remaining reserves to maintain function. But once damage accumulates beyond a certain threshold, this compensation begins to fail. Protective myelin thins, circulation becomes insufficient to meet repair demands, and nerve signaling grows increasingly unstable. At this point, recovery becomes far more difficult, not because the damage is sudden, but because the system has lost its margin for repair. This is why neuropathy often seems to accelerate without warning. Women describe a period when symptoms worsen rapidly, balance feels less reliable, and confidence in movement begins to fade. Small missteps become more noticeable, and sensations that once felt vague now interfere with daily activities. The nervous system is no longer just under stress, it is operating in deficit. What makes this stage especially dangerous is that many women are still told nothing meaningful can be done. They are reassured that the damage is permanent or dismissed as a normal part of aging, even though this moment represents the last window where progression can still be slowed. Once nerve cells begin to degenerate beyond repair, regeneration is extremely limited, and the risk of falls, chronic pain, and loss of independence increases sharply. This is also the stage where fear often replaces curiosity. Instead of asking why symptoms are worsening, women are encouraged to manage pain rather than address what is still driving damage forward. Yet understanding this tipping point is not meant to create alarm, but clarity. It explains why early action matters so much, and why ignoring subtle signs for too long changes the trajectory of nerve health entirely. Because while neuropathy is not always reversible, it is often preventable from getting worse. And recognizing when nerves are approaching this critical threshold is what allows meaningful intervention to begin, which brings us to the most important question of all: what can actually be done realistically and safely to stop nerve damage from continuing to progress? What matters most at this stage is understanding that stopping progression does not require extreme measures or perfect control, but consistent protection of the nervous system from further stress. Nerves do not need dramatic interventions to stabilize. They need fewer insults and more predictable conditions in which repair can occur, even if that repair is slow and incremental over time. The first priority is stabilizing blood sugar rather than chasing low numbers. Sharp rises are far more damaging than mildly elevated levels because each spike acts like a small chemical burn to nerve tissue. Reducing the frequency and intensity of these spikes allows inflammation to calm and circulation to improve. This does not mean eliminating carbohydrates entirely, but changing how they are consumed, so the bloodstream is no longer flooded repeatedly throughout the day, especially during vulnerable periods like the evening and overnight hours. Equally important is restoring a protective environment for nerves. Ensuring adequate intake and absorption of key nutrients, particularly vitamin B12, helps reinforce the nerve's structural defenses. When myelin is supported and oxidative stress is reduced, nerves become less reactive and better able to tolerate daily demands. This step alone often determines whether symptoms continue to escalate or begin to plateau, offering stability even when full reversal is not possible. Movement also plays a critical role, though not in the way many people fear. Gentle, regular activity improves blood flow to peripheral nerves, helping deliver oxygen and nutrients while assisting blood sugar regulation. Even short walks after meals can reduce glucose spikes and support nerve health without aggravating symptoms. What matters is consistency, not intensity, and respecting the body's signals rather than pushing through discomfort. Just as important is recognizing what does not help. Chasing miracle cures overloading supplements or ignoring early warning signs in favor of pain management alone often accelerates decline. Nerve health responds best to steady protective habits repeated over time, not aggressive attempts to reverse damage overnight. This approach reframes neuropathy entirely. Instead of viewing it as an inevitable slide toward loss of function, it becomes a condition with a controllable trajectory. While not all nerve damage can be undone, slowing progression can preserve balance, mobility, sleep, and independence outcomes that matter deeply to quality of life and long-term confidence. Stopping neuropathy from getting worse is not about doing everything at once, but about removing what continues to harm nerves and supporting what helps them endure. And when these steps are taken early enough, the nervous system often responds with more stability than many women are ever told to expect. Neuropathy rarely comes from a single mistake or a single moment. It develops through years of quiet stress on the nervous system, and that means it can often be slowed when the right pressures are removed. Stabilizing blood sugar, protecting key nutrients like vitamin B12, moving gently but consistently, and avoiding habits that quietly overload nerves can make a meaningful difference in how symptoms progress over time. You don't need perfection or drastic changes, but you do need awareness, patience, and steady care that respects how the nervous system actually heals. If this video helped you see your symptoms more clearly or gave you a sense of direction, your support truly matters. Some viewers choose to make a small donation to help this channel continue sharing clear, research-based health education for women like you, and I'm deeply grateful for that support. And of course, please like this video, share it with someone who may need it, subscribe to the channel, and thank you sincerely for spending your time here with me today.